The morning had started like any other at Pine Valley Wildlife Sanctuary. Tom Walker stood at his cabin's porch, coffee mug in hand, watching the wolves from his latest rescue group play in the early dawn light. 20 years of working with wildlife had taught him to notice the smallest changes in animal behavior, but nothing could have prepared him for what this day would bring. The first sign came when every single wolf suddenly stopped moving. Their ears perked up, noses pointed to the sky, and a strange silence fell over the sanctuary. Even the morning birds had gone quiet. Tom felt it too. A slight vibration in the air, like the moment before a massive storm. That's when the sky changed. Massive ships, each the size of a small city, emerged from what looked like tears in the clouds. Their dark, metallic surfaces seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Within minutes, news alerts flooded Tom's phone. Similar ships had appeared over every major city on Earth. "This is not a drill or a hoax," the emergency broadcast declared. "Unknown vessels have been detected in Earth's orbit and major airspace. Please remain calm and stay tuned for further information." Tom watched as his wolves huddled together, their behavior unlike anything he'd seen before. The alpha male, a gray wolf he'd rescued from a logging accident, stared directly at him with an intensity that sent chills down his spine. The global broadcast that followed would forever change human history. "People of Earth," the message began, transmitted in every known human language simultaneously. "We are the coalition of advanced species. We have observed your planet for decades and have reached a unanimous decision. Your species has proven itself to be a parasitic influence on this world's biosphere. You consume without regard, destroy without purpose, and multiply without control." Tom's hands tightened around his coffee mug as the alien voice continued. "We have determined that the only way to preserve this unique world is to remove the human element. You have 24 Earth hours to surrender. Those who comply will be relocated to controlled habitats. Those who resist will face extinction. This is not a negotiation." Within hours, the world's governments attempted to establish communication with the alien ships. Military forces worldwide were placed on high alert, but early attempts to approach the vessels were met with technology that simply disabled any human craft that came too close. As global panic spread, Tom noticed something strange at the sanctuary. The wolves had organized themselves differently, with the younger ones running patrol patterns while the older ones gathered near his cabin. Other wildlife began to emerge from the forest: deer, bears, and even birds, all behaving in unexplainable ways. When military officials arrived at the sanctuary 6 hours after the announcement, they weren't there for Tom. They came because their instruments had detected unusual energy patterns emanating from the area. Tom watched in amazement as scientists set up their equipment, only to discover that the entire forest seemed to be communicating through unknown frequencies. "This is impossible," one researcher said, staring at her readings. "These patterns, they're structured, like a language." As the day progressed, similar reports came in from wildlife preserves and natural areas worldwide. Animals were gathering in organized groups, and surveillance footage showed them moving with apparent purpose and coordination. The aliens, however, paid no attention to these developments. Their message played on repeat across all channels: "Your time is running out. Surrender or face extinction." That night, as the world braced for possible destruction, Tom sat on his porch watching his wolves. The alpha approached him slowly, its yellow eyes reflecting the light from the alien ships above. For a brief moment, Tom could have sworn he saw something there, not just animal intelligence, but something deeper, more ancient. "We're not alone in this fight, are we?" he whispered. The wolf's low growl seemed to resonate with the very earth beneath them. In the distance, a chorus of howls rose from the forest, joined by the calls of countless other species. It wasn't just noise. It was a response. A warning. The aliens had made a crucial mistake. They had judged Earth only by its human inhabitants, completely ignoring the complex web of life that had evolved alongside humanity. They were about to learn that Earth's biosphere wasn't just a passive environment waiting to be saved. It was an army waiting to be awakened. The aliens didn't wait for the full 24 hours. Their attack began at dawn, just 18 hours after their ultimatum. Green beams of light shot down from their ships, sweeping across cities worldwide. Where the beams touched, humans fell ill within seconds, but strangely, no animals were affected. Tom watched the news from his sanctuary's main office, his face grim. The alien ships had released thousands of smaller craft, each about the size of a bus. These vessels moved methodically across the landscape, herding humans like cattle. The bioweapon appears to target human DNA specifically, as scientists explained on the emergency broadcast. It causes extreme weakness and the broadcast cut off abruptly. Outside Tom's window, the sanctuary had become a refuge. Dozens of local families had flowed into the forest during the night, and the strange thing was, the wolves were letting them through. Not only letting them, but guiding them to safe spots. "They're coming this way," said Bill, a local ranger who had joined them at the sanctuary. He pointed to his radar screen, showing 3 alien vessels approaching their valley. Tom rushed outside. The morning fog hung low over the trees, but he could hear the alien ships before he saw them, a low hum that made his teeth vibrate. What happened next left him speechless. As the alien vessels appeared over the tree line, the entire forest erupted into action. Birds of every species took to the sky in organized formations. Hundreds of ravens and crows formed a dark cloud, while eagles and hawks positioned themselves higher up. The wolves moved the refugees deeper into the caves they had somehow known to prepare. The first alien vessel fired its green beam, sweeping the forest. But the birds had created such thick aerial coverage that the beam couldn't penetrate to the ground. Meanwhile, the wolves had positioned themselves in defensive formations that even military strategists would admire. "Look," Bill pointed toward the mountainside. A group of bears had emerged from the tree line. They moved with purpose, not running wild as panicked animals should. The largest grizzly led them, directing others with subtle movements that reminded Tom of military hand signals. The alien ships lowered themselves, presumably to get under the bird cover. That's when the real counterattack began. Eagles and hawks dove at incredible speeds, striking the ship's sensor arrays with precision. Wolves moved in coordinated packs, herding the humans away from danger while simultaneously creating confusion for the alien targeting systems. Even the deer played their part, using their speed and agility to draw alien fire away from escaping humans. "They're protecting us," Tom whispered, watching in awe as a bear literally caught a falling child who had stumbled during the evacuation, gently setting her back on her feet. Similar reports flooded in from around the world. In Africa, elephants were forming protective circles around human villages. In the oceans, pods of whales and dolphins were attacking alien watercraft. Even insects were playing their part. Massive swarms of bees and wasps were making it impossible for alien ground forces to operate effectively. But the aliens still had the upper hand in technology. Their ships regrouped, adjusting their tactics. They began using sonic weapons, trying to disperse the animal defenders. However, this proved to be another mistake. The animals seemed to absorb and redirect these sound waves through some unknown means. In the sanctuary, Tom noticed the wolves becoming more organized. The alpha male he had come to trust stood beside him, watching the battle unfold. Other wolves arranged themselves in a pattern that seemed to mirror the positions of the alien ships above. "They're communicating," Bill said, checking his instruments. "These energy readings, it's like they're part of some vast neural network we never knew existed." The day stretched on, and while the aliens managed to capture some humans, their efforts were being frustrated at every turn by Earth's wildlife. What should have been a simple operation of rounding up a primitive species had turned into a complex guerrilla war, with the entire planet's ecosystem acting as one giant resistance force. As night fell, Tom sat in his office, documenting everything he had seen. The wolves had positioned themselves in a perimeter around the sanctuary, taking shifts like trained soldiers. In the sky, Owls replaced the daytime birds, maintaining aerial surveillance. Even the smallest creatures, mice, squirrels, and raccoons, seemed to be running intelligence operations, moving through the darkness with clear purpose. The invasion had begun, but Earth's wildlife had made one thing clear: humanity would not face this threat alone. 3 days into the invasion, the aliens discovered that their carefully planned operation had turned into a nightmare. What should have been a simple cleanup of one troublesome species had become a planet-wide resistance, and the first major blow came at a refugee camp in Montana, not far from Tom's sanctuary. The alien commander, tall and silver-skinned, had led a group of soldiers to round up humans hiding in an abandoned school. Their scanner showed 50 humans inside, easy prey, but they hadn't counted on what waited in the shadows. The attack came from all sides at once. Wolves emerged from the darkness, not in a wild charge, but in perfect military formation. The alpha wolf, Tom's trusted friend from the sanctuary, led one flanking group while other packs closed in from different directions. The aliens' energy weapons found no targets as the wolves moved with impossible speed and coordination. Impossible, the alien commander transmitted to his ship. "These are just animals." His message cut short as a massive grizzly bear burst through a wall behind them, scattering the alien soldiers like bowling pins. News of this victory spread quickly through both human and animal networks. Similar reports began pouring in from around the world. In Russia, a column of alien ground vehicles was stopped dead when a group of Siberian tigers and brown bears ambushed them in perfect sync. The aliens' advanced armor proved useless against the raw power of Earth's largest predators. Back at the sanctuary, Tom worked with military officials who had finally realized what was happening. They watched drone footage of dolphins and whales working together to sink alien watercrafts along the coastlines. The marine mammals used echolocation to confuse alien sonar and created massive waves to capsize their vessels. "Look at this," said a military analyst, showing Tom footage from Africa. A herd of elephants had formed a protective wall around a village while monkeys and birds coordinated attacks on alien positions. The elephants seemed to be doing more than just fighting. They were directing other animals with their low-frequency rumbles. In South America, jaguars led jungle warfare that the aliens couldn't counter. Every time they tried to push into the rainforest, they faced an army of coordinated wildlife that knew the terrain perfectly. Even the insects played their part. Massive swarms of ants infiltrated alien equipment, while bees and wasps made it impossible for them to maintain fixed positions. The most impressive display came from the birds. Eagles, hawks, falcons, and even smaller birds formed complex aerial networks. They could spot alien movements and relay information across vast distances. Tom watched in amazement as a flock of ravens worked together to take down an alien scout ship, each bird knowing exactly where to strike. The animals, Tom explained to the military commanders gathered at his sanctuary, they're not just fighting randomly. They're sharing intelligence. Look at how the wolves coordinate with the birds. It's like they've got their own command structure. As if to prove his point, the alpha wolf walked into the room, followed by a large eagle that landed on a nearby table. The wolf looked at the military maps spread out before them, then at the eagle, who took off immediately. Within hours, they received reports of animal forces repositioning to protect vulnerable human settlements. The aliens had begun to show signs of frustration. Their carefully laid plans assumed they would only face human resistance. Instead, they found themselves fighting an entire planet's worth of perfectly coordinated wildlife. Their bioweapons, designed to target human DNA, had no effect on their new opponents. That evening, as Tom helped coordinate between military units and animal groups, he noticed something even more extraordinary. The animals weren't just protecting humans, they were teaching them. Wolves showed soldiers how to move silently through forests. Birds demonstrated patterns for aerial surveillance. Even small creatures like rabbits and squirrels revealed hidden paths and escape routes. "We never knew," Tom said to the alpha wolf sitting beside him. All these years, we thought we were alone on this planet, the only ones capable of complex thought and strategy. But you were always there, weren't you? Watching, learning, and waiting for the day we'd need each other." The wolf's eyes met his, filled with ancient wisdom, and Tom understood that this was just the beginning. Humanity had finally discovered its greatest allies had been here all along, sharing their world, waiting for the moment to prove that Earth's greatest strength was not in any one species, but in the bonds between them all. 1 week into the invasion, Tom's sanctuary had transformed into an unusual military scientific base. Scientists had set up their equipment in what used to be the wolf observation area, while military personnel worked alongside animals to coordinate defense strategies. Dr. Anna Miller, a leading biologist, made the breakthrough discovery on a quiet Tuesday morning. She had been studying the strange energy patterns coming from the animals when her instruments picked up something remarkable. "Look at these readings," she called out to Tom, who was busy feeding his wolf allies. "The animals aren't just making random noises. They're using frequencies we never knew existed. It's like Earth has its own internet, and it's been here all along." The discovery shocked everyone in the room. The animals were communicating through a complex network of signals that traveled through the ground, air, and even water. Elephants, with their ability to produce very low-frequency sounds, served as the network's main transmitters. Whales did the same thing in the oceans, while birds acted as flying relay stations. "It's beautiful," Dr. Miller said, showing Tom the pattern on her screen. "Each species plays its part. The elephants are like the main servers, dolphins and whales handle ocean communications, and birds carry messages across continents. Even the smallest animals contribute to the network." As they watched, a group of squirrels darted through the trees in a precise pattern. They weren't just running around. They were passing information along a chain that stretched for miles, like living telegraph poles. At that moment, the alpha wolf padded into the lab and sat next to Tom. The wolf looked at the screens showing the communication patterns, then at Tom, as if confirming their discovery. "You've been trying to show us this all along, haven't you?" Tom asked the wolf. The military quickly grasped the importance of this discovery. If they could tap into this natural network, they could coordinate with animal allies across the globe. They set up special listening stations tuned to these frequencies, with Tom's wolves acting as translators between the animal network and human forces. The results were immediate and impressive. In India, elephants coordinated with local troops to protect villages, their deep infrasound communications warning of approaching alien ships long before human radar could spot them. In the Amazon rainforest, parrots and macaws formed information chains, passing news of alien movements across thousands of miles in minutes. The ocean network proved even more effective. Whale songs, carrying complex battle plans and strategic information, traveled through the world's oceans. Dolphins guided human submarines safely through dangerous waters, while sharks patrolled coastlines, protecting ports and beaches. But the most surprising discovery came from the insects. Bees, ants, and other tiny creatures formed vast information-gathering networks. They could infiltrate alien positions without being noticed, their tiny size making them perfect spies. "The aliens never saw this coming," said General Roberts, watching a live feed of ants disabling alien equipment by targeting specific weak points. "They thought they were invading a planet of one dominant species. Instead, they're fighting an entire world that thinks and acts as one." Tom spent his days learning to better understand these communications. The wolves seemed especially eager to teach him, showing him how different howls and movements corresponded to different types of messages. He learned that a short bark followed by a head tilt meant danger from above, while a low growl and raised paw indicated safe passage this way. The alpha wolf stayed by Tom's side through it all, helping him understand the complex language of Earth's creatures. Together, they worked to bridge the gap between human technology and nature's network. Late one night, as Tom sat looking at the stars through his cabin window, he saw something that made him smile. A parade of animals moved through the sanctuary. Wolves, deer, bears, and birds, all moving in harmony. Above them, the alien ships seemed less threatening now. Earth's children had united, and the invasion force was about to learn just how powerful nature's network could be. "We're not just fighting back," Tom said to the alpha wolf beside him. "We're becoming part of something bigger, something that's been here since the beginning." The wolf's tail wagged once, a simple gesture that seemed to say, "Finally, you understand." 2 weeks into the invasion, humanity and Earth's wildlife launched their first coordinated global counterattack. The morning began with an unusual sight at Tom's sanctuary: wolves and soldiers training together, learning each other's strengths and movements. "Remember," Tom told the soldiers, "the animals aren't just our allies. They're our teachers." He watched as the alpha wolf demonstrated silent movement techniques to a group of Special Forces troops. The soldiers copied the wolf's careful paw placements, learning to move without making the sound. The first phase of the counterattack started with the smallest warriors. Millions of bees, directed by their queens who somehow tapped into the natural network, swarmed into alien ships through tiny openings. Inside, they targeted specific points that the ants had identified as weak spots. Within hours, dozens of alien vessels were grounded, their systems clogged and destroyed by insects that seemed to know exactly where to strike. In the oceans, the second phase began. Whales led the charge against alien water bases, their powerful songs disrupting alien sonar systems. Dolphins guided human submarines through safe channels, while squids and octopuses disabled underwater alien sensors. Even sharks joined in, their powerful bodies ramming alien underwater vehicles at exactly the right spots to cause maximum damage. "It's working," Dr. Miller shouted, watching the data flow across her screens. The natural network was lighting up with victory signals from around the world. The animals are sharing successful attack strategies instantly across the globe. The third phase brought the birds into action. Massive flocks of migrating birds, their usual patterns turned into attack formations, struck at alien aircraft. Eagles and falcons targeted ship sensors with surgical precision, while smaller birds flew in dense patterns that confused alien targeting systems. But the most impressive coordination happened on the ground. Tom watched through binoculars as wolves and bears led groups of soldiers through the forest. The animals showed humans how to use the terrain, where to hide, and when to strike. In Africa, elephants breached alien ground defenses, creating openings for both human forces and other animals to exploit. The alpha wolf suddenly appeared at Tom's side, making that special growl that meant "follow me." Tom grabbed his radio and followed the wolf to a higher viewpoint. What he saw amazed him. Below, hundreds of animals moved in perfect formation. Deer herds ran interference, drawing alien fire away from attacking bears and wolves. Smaller animals like foxes and raccoons slipped through enemy lines, sabotaging equipment. Even the trees seemed to help, their branches moving in ways that provided cover for the attackers. "This is control," Tom radioed to headquarters. "The forest section is go. Release the birds." On his signal, the sky darkened as thousands of birds took flight. Ravens and crows formed living shields, blocking alien sensors. Hawks and eagles dived like living missiles. Owls, their silent flight making them perfect stealth attackers, struck from unexpected angles. The aliens fought back hard, but they faced an enemy that could adapt instantly. Every time they found a way to counter one type of animal attack, the natural network would immediately share this information, and all animals worldwide would change their tactics. "They're retreating," someone shouted over the radio. Similar reports came in from around the globe. Alien ships were pulling back, their carefully planned invasion crumbling in the face of Earth's united defense. That evening, as the sun set on their first major victory, Tom sat with the alpha wolf watching more animals arrive at the sanctuary. The wolf's pack had grown, now including not just wolves but other animals too. They all seemed to move as one unit, their movements synchronized through the natural network. "We never stood a chance alone," Tom said quietly, patting the wolf's head. "But together, we might just win this war." The wolf leaned against him, its yellow eyes fixed on the horizon, where alien ships now retreated. Dr. Miller joined them, her tablet showing the natural network lighting up with activity. "The animals are sharing battle tactics across the globe," she explained. "Each victory, each successful strategy becomes part of Earth's collective knowledge. We're not just fighting back, we're evolving as a united force." The alpha wolf stood up suddenly, ears perked. In the distance, more alien ships appeared to be falling back. The wolf let out a howl, and hundreds of animal voices joined in, a sound of victory that echoed across the valley. The counterattack had worked, but this was just the beginning. Earth's united forces, human and animal together, were ready for whatever came next. 3 weeks into the war, something unexpected happened at Tom's sanctuary. An alien scout ship, damaged by eagle attacks, made an emergency landing in the clearing. Instead of attacking, the alpha wolf signaled everyone to wait. The ship's door opened slowly. A tall, silver-skinned alien emerged with its hands raised in what appeared to be a universal gesture of peace. Tom noticed it wore different markings from the military aliens. This one appeared to be a scientist. "I am lead researcher first class," the alien spoke through a translation device. "I come seeking understanding, not conflict." The alpha wolf approached the alien, followed by an eagle landing nearby and a bear emerging from the forest. The animals formed a circle but didn't attack. Tom, following their lead, stepped forward. "We've been wrong," the alien continued, looking at the gathered animals with what seemed like wonder. "Completely and utterly wrong about this world." Dr. Miller arrived with her equipment, showing the alien the readings from the natural network. The alien's large eyes widened even further. "This is impossible," it said, studying the data. "Your planet, it's not just a collection of species. It's one giant, living defense system." The alien explained that their initial scans had focused only on human technology and development. They had completely missed the complex web of life that connected every living thing on Earth. "Your oceans," the alien gestured excitedly. "They're not just water, they're communication highways. Your forests aren't just trees, they're living computers. Even your smallest insects are part of something vast and incredible." As if to demonstrate, a line of ants marched past, carrying information through the natural network. Above, birds flew in patterns that the alien now recognized as data transmission sequences. "And the humans," the alien turned to Tom. "You're not parasites at all. You're part of this system. The animals, they've been watching over you, guiding you, waiting for you to understand." The alpha wolf sat next to Tom, and for the first time, Tom noticed something in the wolf's eyes that looked almost like pride. The wolf had known this all along. Dr. Miller shared more data with the alien scientist, showing how each species played its role in Earth's defense. Elephants and whales maintained long-distance communications. Birds acted as data relays. Insects formed living computer networks. Every creature, from the largest whale to the smallest ant, had its part to play. "But why reveal this now?" Tom asked the animals around him. "Why not show us this connection before?" The alien scientist answered, its translation device struggling to keep up with its excitement. "Don't you see? They've been teaching you gradually, every domesticated animal, every unique bond between humans and wildlife. It was all preparation. They were waiting for the right moment when you would need to understand the whole truth." As they talked, more animals gathered in the clearing. Wolves, bears, eagles, and even small creatures like squirrels and rabbits formed a circle around them. The natural network hummed with activity, visible now on Dr. Miller's instruments as patterns of light and energy. "Your planet isn't just alive," the alien concluded, "it's aware. Each species is like a different organ in one vast, living being. And humans are meant to be its conscious guardians, once you're ready." The revelation spread quickly through both human and alien channels. More alien scientists arrived, eager to learn about Earth's true nature. The invasion forces, faced with the reality that they weren't fighting just one species, but an entire living planet, began to pull back. That evening, Tom sat with the alpha wolf watching the sunset. The alien scientist had joined them, still taking readings and shaking its head in amazement. "All these years," Tom said, scratching the wolf's ears, "we thought we were alone. But you were always there, weren't you? All of you, watching, waiting, protecting." The wolf leaned against him, and through the natural network, Tom felt rather than heard the response. Earth had never been just a planet. It was a family, and humans were finally learning their place in it. The alien scientist looked up from its readings. "Your world is unique in all our explorations," it said, "not because of its resources or its position in space, but because it has achieved something we thought impossible: true symbiosis between all its life forms." As night fell, the stars seemed brighter somehow. Humanity had not just found allies in Earth's wildlife. They had discovered their true family and their real place in the universe. In 1 month after the first alien ships appeared in Earth's skies, the invasion fleet began its final retreat. At Tom's sanctuary, humans and animals gathered to watch the massive ships disappear into the clouds. But this wasn't just an ending. It was a beginning. The alpha wolf stood beside Tom as the last ship vanished. In the past month, the wolf had become more than just an ally. It was a teacher, a friend, and a bridge between two worlds that had always been meant to work together. "Hard to believe a month ago, we thought we were alone in protecting Earth," Tom said to the assembled group of scientists, soldiers, and animals. Dr. Miller's equipment still hummed nearby, recording the constant flow of information through the natural network. The changes were happening everywhere. In cities across the world, urban planners worked with birds and local wildlife to create new types of living spaces where humans and animals could coexist better. The birds showed them which air currents could help reduce pollution, while ground animals identified the best places for green corridors. In the oceans, whales and dolphins actively guided fishing vessels, showing humans sustainable fishing spots and helping them avoid overfishing. The marine mammals had realized it was better to teach humans than to simply resist them. Elephants in Africa and Asia became active partners in forest conservation, using their deep understanding of the ecosystem to show humans how to protect and restore natural habitats. Their low-frequency communications now helped scientists predict weather patterns and natural disasters. At the sanctuary, Tom helped establish the first official human-animal communication center. The building was designed with input from various species, open spaces suggested by the wolves, high perches recommended by the eagles, and even special tunnels requested by the smaller animals. "Look at this," Dr. Miller called out one morning, showing Tom her latest readings. The natural network had grown stronger, with humans slowly learning to sense it too. Children seemed especially good at connecting to it, many of them already able to understand animal signals without any technical help. The alien scientist who had first understood Earth's true nature had stayed behind as an observer. It watched in amazement as human children played with wolf cubs, learning their language naturally through games and interaction. "Your world is teaching us too," the alien said to Tom. "We thought we were advanced because of our technology. But true advancement isn't about machines. It's about understanding and working with the natural world, not trying to control it." The changes weren't always easy. Some people resisted the new partnership with wildlife, and some areas struggled to adapt. But the animals showed remarkable patience. They understood that just as they had waited thousands of years for this moment, they could be patient with those who took longer to accept the new reality. 6 months after the invasion, Tom stood on his cabin porch, just like he had done that first morning. But everything was different now. The sanctuary had grown into a sprawling center of learning and cooperation. People came from around the world to learn from the animals, while animals came to learn from the humans too. The alpha wolf appeared beside him, now wearing a special collar that helped translate its thoughts into words humans could understand. But Tom rarely needed the translations anymore. He had learned to understand his friend without technology. "We're ready," Tom said, looking at the morning sun. Behind him, the new class of animal-human communication students was arriving. The wolf wagged its tail in agreement. Together, they walked to the training area where bears were teaching tracking skills, birds were showing air current patterns, and even insects were demonstrating their complex communication methods. Humans and animals working together, learning from each other, making something entirely new. In the distance, a whale song carried news of healthy ocean patterns, while overhead, birds passed messages across continents. The natural network hummed with activity, but now human voices were part of that song too. "The aliens thought they were coming to save Earth from us," Tom said to the wolf. "Instead, they helped us learn how to truly be part of Earth." The wolf looked up at him, its eyes full of ancient wisdom and new hope. Around them, the sanctuary buzzed with life and purpose. Earth's children, human and animal alike, had found their way home to each other. And together, they were ready for whatever the universe might bring next. As the morning sun rose higher, its light fell on a new sign at the sanctuary entrance, Earth's Wildlife Sanctuary, where all species learn as one. Below it, animals and humans moved together in perfect harmony, writing the first pages of Earth's next great chapter.